Oops, turn that around. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, Instagram family. So today we're going to hop on and talk about kind of like the basis of Ayurveda and how everything kind of works. Hello, sister. Is it lunchtime? Mom? So, I just wanted to talk about Ayurveda. We are in the midst of our cleanse. So today, I'm fasting. I'm still fasting as of this morning. I didn't have anything to eat. I will probably eat my kichari here after we get done with this recording, with this call, with this live broadcasting, whatever you call it. And I do that because for me, fasting works for my body. It kickstarts my digestion, so that's kind of like why I fast. So I haven't really eaten anything, and that's why I haven't posted anything. I've just been drinking hot water all day long with lime essential oil, and then various teas. Ginger tea, primarily ginger lemon, is really what I'm consuming right now because I feel like that is best for my digestion and for supporting my immune system. So yeah, so we're in the midst of our cleanse, and I just want to say that we're so in flow with what's going on. Like, literally, a cleanse is to remove all the toxins from our body, and I think we're, as a collective, you're doing this cleanse, we're doing this, like, for the world. There's a lot of toxicity in the world. I was listening to Jeffrey Armstrong yesterday, and I loved how he discussed toxic, being toxic. He's all, toxicness can lead to toxic, to making you toxic, where you're just talking about sickness. And I really, really resonated with that because I feel like words have power. So, I think it's great that we're doing this cleanse now. We'll just go right into it now. So the basis of the cleanse is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an ancient healing modality out of India. It's older. It's about 5,000 years old, and it is a healing science. It comes from the Vedas, and the principle is being in tune with the laws of nature, like basically following the rhythm of nature. That's kind of like what Ayurveda is all about. And the basic principle of Ayurveda is having a strong digestion, having a strong digestive system, having a strong digestive fire, which is called Agni, Agni. When you have strong digestive fire, you are able to process things easier. You're able to receive things, you're able to process, and you're able to release them as well and let them go. And that's everything that you come in contact with, whether it's something you see, something you hear, something you taste, something you touch. All of our senses are tied, and they're also represented by a certain element as well. So in Ayurveda, we function under the 5 elements, which is ether, also known as space, air, fire, water, and earth. And those 5 elements are in every single thing that is made up of matter that contains prana. So our goal is to balance these energies and find our natural balance within nature, because we also have a primary element or 2 within our body. And these elements have certain qualities that are just inherent to that element. And the goal is to balance the elements with the opposite quality. So for example, the opposite of cold is hot. So if you wanted to balance cold, you would just add hot to that and it would balance itself out. So there's 20 qualities total that we work with, and those 20 are broken down then into specific elements. And then within the elements, those 5 elements, we make up the 3 specific doshas or tridoshas. The first one is Vata, and that is primarily the doshas. Let me start again. Vata is the dosha that is governed by ether and air. Pitta is the dosha that is governed by fire and water. And Kapha is the element that is governed by water and earth. And those then 3 doshas are what we have within our body. They also have a specific site within the body, for example. And I had a whole entire order of this, but now we're getting out of order. But anyway, doesn't matter. We're flowing with the energy. Kapha is held in the chest and upper stomach. Pitta is then held in the lower stomach. And then Vata is held in the lower intestine, which is the colon area. And that's where these specific elements are housed. And so it's important just to kind of get to know what those elements are and to familiarize yourself with the qualities of those elements. Because once you start to realize what those qualities are in the elements, then you can start to balance them all across your entire life. Ayurveda is a set of principles that you can apply to all of your life, to everyone, to everywhere. It's not that you have to eat according to Ayurveda. It's that you need to know the qualities that balance you, and you need to know what foods will nourish you and balance those qualities. Diet is crucial. Nutrition is crucial to Ayurveda because what you eat creates the tissues in your body. It also creates your mood. 70% of your mood is created in your gut. If you have junk food, you will create junk thoughts. It really is that simple. So once we know what our specific dosha is, so once we know dosha, so I know Tuesday is on here, I know we're both kaphas. So we are water and earth elements, which means that the qualities of water and earth are, think about water and think about earth, right? Water is heavy, earth is heavy. You pick up dirt, you can feel it. It's heavy, it's cold. Usually dirt, water, it's just naturally cold. It's moist. It's smooth. You can pat it, it's smooth. So we are naturally like this. What we need to do is focus on how to balance those things. So it would be hot, dry, and light. So if you were to think about those descriptive words and how you can incorporate that into your life, you're thinking Ayurvedically at that point. You really are, and it's much more beyond your scope of what you're eating. Okay, and you can apply that to foods as well. Light foods would be considered like salads and veggies and nothing that is heavy, like no dairy, no animal protein, none of that, because that's already heavy and made of matter. We don't need more matter. We need more air and space within our body because we already have matter. So you kind of want to look at that as well, and then you want to take it even further and think like, what activities am I doing that are light-hearted? What activities am I doing that are light in feeling, light in vibration? What are things that are drying? Like drying, I automatically think a dry sauna. That's perfect for a kapha, to go into a dry sauna to sweat. Because number one, you're going to sweat. Number two, it's dry heat. So it's going to pull out all the water that's within the body. So you want to start thinking in these kind of terms, you know. The other one is, what did I say? Light, dry, and hot. That's the other one. So hot, think hot. As a kapha, you always want to think hot. So you automatically, you want to eat, not hot, we say warm. So you want to do like warm foods, warm liquids, warm soups, warm clothing. Think about covering your head, you know. Think about all those things and how you can bring that internally and into your external world as well. And there's tons of ways. Ayurveda has so many different modalities, which we'll cover, you know. But there's so many ways that you're not limited to just one thing. So now that we're kind of like here, we've passed the dosha. So we're kind of intro to the doshas. We're going to keep talking about the doshas. It's always about the doshas. So now we just broke that down into the three, which is vata, pitta, kapha. And then, of course, you have mixes. You can have like a vata pitta or a pitta kapha or a kapha vata, or I think there's up to 12 different varieties total of combinations that you can be as far as the doshas. And what's important is that you always are addressing the primary dosha followed by the secondary. So you're always trying to balance your primary dosha first. And then when that's in balance, then you can look at the secondary dosha and tertiary dosha if there happens to be one. But I will tell you that across the board, most people have a vata imbalance. Vata is the king of doshas, and most people have a vata imbalance. So what that means is that we have to ground ourselves first before we can ever even think about balancing the dosha. So we have to make sure that we are grounded, in a grounded state of mind, that we are literally in our body connected to the earth and not in our head space. Because we want to ensure that when we do these cleanses and that we do this work, that it's going to work in our body, and it just won't be all in our head. We need to drop out of here. We need to lose our mind and drop into our heart. That's like basically what has to happen, is we have to get out of here and drop into your heart. That's it. It's done. There's only so much you can think about, and there's so much you can reflect on, and it's great to analyze and process, but until you start to actually feel these things and you start to come alive with this, we can talk about it all day long. And people also, like, you know, we can talk and talk and talk, but until we actually take action and movement, experiential experiences, then they go hand in hand. So from those, so everything that we have, everything that we eat, every single thing that we eat also has these 5 elements and carries these properties and these qualities inside of it as well. Knowing what those are is golden. That is true knowledge, because then you can get to understand, well, I need this to balance, so I need this group of foods, because this foods is exactly, and these foods never change doshas. Like, it's always going to be this specific, this food is this specifically. So once you can get a clear, what you have a list already, you were sent a list with your details, so you have a list of foods and stuff that you can already consume according to your dosha type. I always recommend that once we get off the cleanse, go to that list and just eat what's on that list only and see how you feel. Don't go back to eating how you used to. Go immediately eat from this list. And it might seem limiting, but after you eat a week of kichari, I don't think that's limiting at all. And then see how you feel, because it does make a difference. It really, really makes a difference. And so every single food that we eat has a specific quality to it and functions under a specific element. Once you know that, you can then begin to apply what your body needs according to foods. All of the food that we eat nourishes all of our tissues. In Ayurveda, there is 7 tissues, or 7 dhatus, that are fortified with the food that you eat. So the food that you eat creates the cells and the tissues in your body. It makes up what you are. Everything you eat, everything you drink makes up who you are on the inside. So everything that you're doing to nourish yourself, you're building on top of what you already did previous to that, right? Okay, so like, let's take the cleanse. We're doing the cleanse. We're starting on a clean foundation. So then all of the dhatus are being nourished at this point, because this is a very nourishing meal. And we'll go through the list of the tissues so you can kind of know the order, because there is an order. In Ayurveda, there's an order to everything. And that's why it's a science, because it's proven. There is a process that you use to be the fullest. And so the 7 dhatus then take the food that you've eaten, and it's broken down into different seven tiers. Okay? And the order never changes as far as what is being built by the food, right? So when you eat food, the first tissue that gets nourished or pulls nutrition from the food that you're eating is called rasa, R-A-S-A, rasa, and that's the fluids, like your lymphatic fluids, like your plasma, like fluids, just the fluids. The second tissue to get nourishment from your foods is rakta, R-A-K-T-A, and that's the blood. So first is the fluids, second is blood. The third one is mamsa, M-A-M-S-A, mamsa, M-A-M-S-A, and that's the muscle. The fourth is meda, M-E-D-A, and that's the fat tissue. The fifth one is ashti, A-S-H-T-I, ashti, and that's the bones. The sixth tissue is majja, M-A-J-J-A, and that's the bone marrow and bone marrow fluids. And then we have the shukra, which is the last one, S-H-U-K-R-A, shukra, and that's the reproductive tissues, okay? And that's the order. So the first thing that gets pulled is the fluids, and that gets the most of, I don't want to say gets the most of the nourishment, but it does. Here, I'm going to pull out some other information that I wanted to go over that I just remembered, like ding, 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 this is what we wanted to talk about. I love when that happens. Okay, so the order is important because you want to know what your food is doing. Okay, so for example, and I know I had this somewhere and I can't recall where I put it. So it was very important, and I specifically was like, I need to pull it out and share. Okay, well, I wanted to give you what dosha was associated with the specific tissue, because even that is relevant. Every dhatu has a specific dosha quality to it as well. And I could have sworn it was here with a 6 taste, but this is not. But I will get you that information so you have it, because it's very important. So basically, the first tissue to get nourished is your fluids. The second one is your blood, which is pitta, right? The third one is muscle. The fourth one is fat. Fifth one is bones. Sixth one is bone marrow. And the seventh one is reproductive. If we are not eating the proper nourishing foods, as the food nourishment gets taken by each dhatu, by the time it gets to your bones, your bone marrow, and your reproductive system, there's no nourishment left. There's no nourishment left. We're not eating nourishing foods. There's not enough. Already people are struggling with the fat. People are already struggling with fat, like the fat aspect of nourishing our fat. Like we're already so low fat, no fat. That's not good. Our brain is primarily fat. We need good fat. So if people are already cutting off the fat from their diet, there's nothing getting passed into the bones, the bone marrow, or the reproductive system. And this I can tell you, that's why we have a lot of infertility among women, because of our nourishment. And that's not the only reason, but it is one of the primary reasons. It really is. Because of the way that our food comes through the levels of processing, okay? Those 7 dhatus or tissues create 3 byproducts, okay? So I'm giving you kind of like the process of what goes down, because I want you to understand what your body is doing as you're eating and why you're eating and for what reason. So again, we have 3 byproducts. The first one is a byproduct. It's purisha. It's the feces, and that is in the colon. Then we have mutra, which is the urine in the kidneys. And then we have the sweat glands, which is sweat, sweta. Okay, and those are the 3 byproducts that are solid, that you can see, that actually you can remove from your body. They're literally released from the body, okay? And those are the 3 ways, easiest ways that you can control how you remove toxins. Either you remove them through the colon, you release them through the kidney, or you sweat them out through your sweat glands, which is best way to remove toxins, sweating, honestly. So then we're consuming the dhatus, we're consuming the doshas by form of food. The doshas then convert into tissue, where we're nourishing our inner bodies, and whatever it doesn't use or whatever toxins it finds is being created into byproducts, okay? So it's kind of like a systematic thing. So now that we have kind of the order of how things go, is there any questions? Let me know if there's any questions. Drop a comment, drop a note, anything, or if something comes up, let me know. Now we're going to move into the 6 tastes. So Ayurveda, according to Ayurveda, there are 6 tastes, and these 6 tastes should be in every single one of our meals, because that is how we are satiated and feel satisfied and complete. If we miss one, we will definitely be craving it. So the 6 tastes are, and tastes in Sanskrit is called rasa, R-A-S-A, rasa, taste. Sensations the tongue experiences. So the 6 tastes begin, and this is always the same order. It's always sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent, and bitter. And in Sanskrit, we're going to go in order again. Sweet, madura. Sour is amla. Salty is lavana. Pungent is katu. Astringent is kashaya. And bitter is tikta. Okay? Rasa also is not only known for the taste, but also it's the first dhatu. Notice that? It's also the first dhatu that is created. Rasa. It's also the first dhatu that is created. Okay, so there are 4 varieties of taste buds on your tongue. They each perceive sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. Okay? Sweet and salty are perceived at the tip of the tongue. Sour is on the sides. And bitter is in the back. Okay? Now, you're like, well, what about pungent and astringent? pungent taste buds and astringent, or pungent tastes and astringent tastes, flavors, whatever. Those are actually used to scrape food as we go about our day, or as we go in the process of the digestive system. So pungent based quality foods irritate the mucous membrane, and astringent pulls the mucous membrane. So you need both. You need pungency to irritate the mucous membrane so that it irritates it, and then the astringent comes in and pulls it out and removes it from your body. Okay? And that's kind of like the basis of the tastes and the taste buds and the 6 flavors. Let me see. Each dosha is increased or decreased by certain rasas, or by certain tastes. So their balance is dependent on the consumption of various rasas through diet and herbs. Taste is the sense, and the tongue is the sense organ. As soon as the tongue comes into contact with food, the taste can be perceived. The rasa of any food is not permanent, okay? And then so let's just go over right now real quick the rasa and their effects on the dosha. So the tastes and how they affect the dosha, because every single taste has an effect on the doshas. So sweet increases kapha, but decreases pitta and vata, which means that it's not good. Sweet taste is not good for kapha, but it is good for pitta and vata. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. It's pacifies or aggravates. Pacifying is good, aggravating is bad. So sweet aggravates kapha, but it pacifies pitta and vata. And we have amla, which is the sour taste. Sour taste increases or aggravates kapha, aggravates pitta, but pacifies vata. Lavana, which is salty, aggravates kapha, aggravates pitta, but pacifies vata. Pungent, katu, pacifies kapha, aggravates pitta, and aggravates vata. Astringent flavor, kashaya, pacifies kapha, pacifies kapha, pacifies pitta, aggravates vata. Tikta, which is a bitter herb, bitter taste, pacifies kapha, pacifies pitta, and aggravates vata. So when you're looking at specific food to eat, we can put it into the category of what kind of dosha it's in, because food is categorized according to dosha and qualities. You always want to pacify your primary dosha, which means that you will always be doing things to balance the dosha. For example, kapha is naturally sweet, sour, and salty. It naturally has those qualities within its dosha element. Balancing that would be pungency, astringency, and bitterness. And that's how you would balance it. So I always think of this as like, because I'm a Libra, so I always use the scales of justice. You're always doing this. You're always, is this better? Is this what, did this pacify or did this aggravate it? Did this pacify, did this aggravate it? And then you do have a little booklet with information on your specific dosha and what aggravates it and what pacifies it and the location, and all of what we're talking about in here is definitely in those little books as well. And I don't know about the taste one. I have to write that up, but it's not a problem. It's already written here in my book, so I just have to transfer it over. Now what we're going to talk about is something called Vipaka, Vipaka, and that is the post-digestive effect of an herb on the body. So, when we take herbs or even food, they have a post-digestive effect on each of the bodies, and it's either heating or cooling. And it's important to know this because that's what's going to help you further digest. So like how we made the kichari, the herbs and spices that you put into that, the post-digestive effect that they have on your body, that's why you use those specific spices, okay? Yes, we will talk about how we will be going through the disease process as well later on this week. But yes, if you aggravate the dosha, okay, it will go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so this is kind of, I'm going to just answer this question real quick because it came up. So the way that it works is that there is a specific site, right, a location, like I said earlier, in every part of the body that houses the doshas. So think of it like this. Let's say there's a house, and it's a 3-bedroom house. In the first house in the first bedroom you have kapha dosha, in the second bedroom you have pitta dosha, and in the third bedroom you have vata dosha. So people start showing up to the party, and the first one is a kapha. They're like, hey, what's up? We're here to party. So they're like, oh yeah, you're in the first bedroom. Go to the first bedroom. Okay, cool. So they knock, knock, knock. Come in, kapha, come in. Next person comes in, it's a vata. Oh, vata, you're in the third bedroom. Next person come in, pitta, you're in the second bedroom. And suddenly everybody just starts showing up, right? And they're going to their designated bedroom, party room. And what happens, for example, is that kapha dosha will knock again. You know, the party goes, they don't stop partying. We're partying. Hello, we love to party. Everybody loves to party. It's a party in the, party in my tummy. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So what ends up happening is that, say, kapha shows up, right? And then they go to their room. Oh, you're in room number 1. Okay, good. So we're going to go to room number 1. And they knock on the door, and kapha says, we're full. Can't go into kapha room no more. So then kapha's like, well, I came to party. I'm going to find a party. So then kapha wanders off to room number 2 and is like, hey, what's up? And pitta's like, oh, what's up? Come on, we have tons of room. Come on in here. And then what ends up happening is that a vata comes in. And a vata's like, oh, we want to come and party, and they go to the wrong room too. So what happens is that they start getting full. The location, the site of the dosha becomes full and cannot receive any more of that dosha. So the dosha then is diverted to another location, which creates dis-ease in the body. Because now that dosha is not in its proper site doing what it's supposed to do. Now you have kapha in the stomach, creating extra mucus in the body. And it's not supposed to be in the stomach at all. Kapha is supposed to be in the lungs. Then you have pitta, then you have pitta in the lungs doing lung stuff, and that's when you have those huge infections. That where you're coughing stuff up and it has color in it, that's an infection. That's pitta in the wrong location. That's just pitta aggravation in the kapha site. That just means you have too many pitta partiers. They need to calm down. Go back into where they were supposed to. And so that's what happens when we become aggravated. Now, you can catch that the process of disease, there's several steps before you actually go into chronic stages. But you have to know what to look for and the imbalances to be open to in order to catch that. And that we will definitely also go into that as well. It is included in that packet that I sent. I think it's called Kapha Dosha Details, I believe it is. And it has like what is imbalanced and how it's imbalanced. And also within those imbalances, so if you have a kapha imbalance, you have a kapha imbalance, it could also be like an underlying aggravation that we're not sure about. We could think it's kapha, but really it's a pitta. Like every single disease, every single dis-ease that we have has 3 ways of manifesting, and that's either being a vata, like a cold. It could be a vata cold, a kapha cold, or a pitta cold. But you have to know what those qualities are to attribute it to what symptoms you're having. And every single dis-ease has 3 manifestations or symptoms that it could have because of the quality. So then you look at the quality of your illness or dis-ease. For example, if you were let's talk about a cough, because that's the easiest. If you had a cough would be a very mucusy one. It's very mucusy. Lubrication, think mucus. That's what cough is associated one. A pitta one would have a lot of infection. It would be a cough with an infection. So then your mucus would be coming up and it would be like blood, you know. I'm going to kapha that smokes. That's actually really good. A kapha that smokes. That's not bad for kapha dosha because it's air. I mean, think about that. It's air, you know? You're burning air. It's not heavy. It's not earth. You can see it. Is there a way to balance? Pranayam. 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 Pranayam is the best way to balance. Best way, because you're expanding your lungs. So you would have to do longer exhales as opposed to inhales. So you would do, I'd probably start with 6. I would do 6 inhale, count for 6, exhale for 12. Yeah. And then also you want to incorporate Kapalabhati, which is forceful inhale. You want to do pranayama every single day as a kapha. Absolutely. That's what gets the mucus out of your body. Especially if you're doing like... You're forcing air through your body. That's beautiful for kapha dosha. It's excellent. Of course, if you're a vata dosha and you're primary, then I would not suggest so much prana because you're already in the ether and in the air. I would say you need to sit down and meditate or just lay on the ground, shavasana, and not do anything. So that's kind of like how you start to balance. It's kind of like how you, and it's all experiential. You have to see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, then you do something else. Vastrika daily. Yes. And so I can definitely say, Tuesday, that you can testify that pranayama is actually helping your kapha body and kapha mind and spirit in all 3 ways, because you are getting air all throughout your body all day long. I bet if you stop or if you miss, your body misses it. You could tell because it's really pacifying to kapha. All of that air, it's just like, wow, we needed that. We were feeling so heavy. We needed to infuse ourselves with that. Okay, so back to vipaka, which is the post-digestive effect of an herb on the body. So let's take the kichari. Right now we're doing the kichari. Say, for example, you don't have to stop anything. We're here to enjoy. Don't ever think you have to stop anything. No. Absolutely not. I'm not for that. I'm not about that life. Okay, so the vipaka, let's say, for example, we do have someone like for myself. My kichari that I made is super spiced up. I put a ton of black pepper in it. I put cinnamon. I put cloves. I did not make it the recipe style. I actually put more spices. I did mustard seeds. Because I know what my body needs and craves, I was able to customize my kichari to my liking. And because I know what those spices do to my body, I know the post-digestive effect that they have on me, and I know that they will be beneficial to me, and they will help me remove the extra waste that is inside my body. Because as a kapha, all we do is hold on to flesh. That's like what we do. So if you think if you're a kapha and you want to know if you're out of balance, if you're holding onto extra flesh, then you're out of balance. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to lie. That's just the way it is. If I'm currently holding on to extra earth and water in my body, I don't need it. I need to do more movement to get it out of me. And I also need to incorporate herbs to get my digestive system and Agni, my digestive fire, burning so that I can consume food and it's not slow or lethargic. Especially now. Springtime is kapha time. We are naturally slow. We are naturally lethargic right now, as it is because of the weather, because it's cold, because of the water, the rain. It just is that way. Okay, so the vipaka is the transformed state of the food after digestion and assimilation. Okay, vipaka is the ultimate result of the process of digestion. It is the transformed state after digestion, and it is the final reaction of food on the body. I love that. Think about that. The final reaction of food on the body. Who thinks about our reaction when you eat food? How is my body going to react? I think we've gotten away from that, and I think that's a really good kind of way to bring it back. And I really like that. So that is the vipaka. So that's why it's important to know what herbs and spices are good for you. And that is also in the list that you have with your foods. You have a recommendation of specific herbs that are good for your body. They're pretty general. Kapha body types, you want to spice up your life. You can take all the spiciness you want, with a few exceptions. Of course, like not too sweet, not too salty, not too sour, but everything outside of that, pepper, mustard, cumin, coriander, chili, like, I mean, we're abundant in spices. Pitta, because they already are so fiery, they don't need any more fire to ignite their digestion. So they're the ones who need the least amount of spice. Like, they need bland city. Honestly, that's kind of like how it is. Most people with the Pitta constitution, they have to eat bland food all the time, or be really knowledgeable about what spices and food they can eat that doesn't increase the digestive fire too much, because it can make them irritable, and aggravated, and go into a very low vibratory way of expressing it. And Vata, they basically need a lot of grounding spices, warming, grounding, like, so think like cinnamon and clove, and like those that are really, really just warm, calm, just very grounding, like rosemary, thyme, those kind of spices and herbs are what are good for Vata. And again, all of these are on your list, so you should have a list that has this. If you don't, let me know. Let's move on now. Now that we know how we can use the vipaka to our benefit, let's start with the order of digestion. So food, the way that you digest your food, it's same simple process every time, all the time. So the first stage begins in the mouth and the upper stomach. So it starts here with saliva glands, right, connecting, and then saliva glands get that going, and it tells your stomach, like, hey, food is coming, it's coming. It usually lasts 1 to 2 hours, right? So as soon as you start eating, the digestive process of this stage goes from 1 to 2 hours long. This first stage is very much geared by kapha. So what does that mean? That means that most of the sweet, sour, and salty elements are processed during this stage, okay? And so I don't know if you ever heard that saying that says, like, begin with dessert, eat your cake first and then your salad last. Well, technically, that's really how we're supposed to eat according to Ayurveda. We're supposed to eat all of our sweet foods first, because kapha dosha, which is earth and water element, is the first stage of digestion. So to be in alignment with our own digestion, you want to eat everything that is sweet, sour, and salty first, okay? If we have an issue with this specific stage of digestion, you will feel lethargy, which signifies that you have a slow digestion. The food is lasting too long in there, longer than 2 hours than it needs to, and like, oh, kapha, Okay, so it's stuck in the kapha. That means I need to move. I need to move. Either I got to move it with my prana, with my own breath, or I need to physically move my body. Okay? The second stage of digestion is your lower stomach and your small intestine. And that usually is 2 to 3 hours after you put the food into your mouth. And this part of the food process or the stage, this represents is pitta. So this is the fire and water aspect. So this is the salty, more of the salty process, okay, that gets digested as far as the food. If we have a weakness in this stage, it will manifest as heartburn and acid reflux. So you'll have heartburn or acid reflux if in this stage you are having an imbalance, okay? And that's 2 to 3 hours after you consume the first bite. After that, we have the third and final stage, and that is in the large intestine or the colon. This lasts for 1 to 2 hours. So total, it takes like 6 hours to digest, up to 6 hours to digest. That's why Ayurveda recommends eating every 6 hours, okay, and nothing in between, because you're digesting in between all that. So imagine if you were to snack. You're eating, you're digesting, halfway through you get a snack, you're starting the process all over again. Your body's like, I have no idea what's going on. I have to start, I wasn't even finished over there, now I gotta start over here. So, stage 3 is governed by Vata. It is air and space. Air and space, think light foods, like salads, veggies. They're astringent, right? This is governed by bitter. So the last thing you want to eat is something bitter, right? To help scrape everything, right? And then if you have imbalances in the last stage, then it's going to show up as bloating or gas. And I will definitely say a lot of people will say kichari gives them gas. And I say to them, it's not that kichari gives you gas. It's that your body has too much vata in it already. And it's releasing it all. It's a good thing to have gas when you're doing a cleanse. But people don't see it that way. Because if it's releasing gas, that was all inside of you. That gas was inside of you. Granted, some of it could have been created by the kichari that you're consuming, but not all the way. So, okay. So we have the order of digestion, post-digestive effects. The last thing I want to go through before I go through the dinacharya list is what these tastes create, right? So the 6 tastes, why do we eat them and what do they do? Okay, so the sweet taste, right, the kapha, the madura, sweet taste, it helps build dhatus. It helps heal wounds, moisten the skin, and create well-formed stool and clear urine. So that's why we want to make sure that what we're eating according to the sweet taste is clear and nutritious. All of our tastes, really. Sour forms rakta dhatu, right? And then rakta dhatu is the blood. So the sour forms rakta dhatu, strengthens agni, reduces ama, decreases vata, which is pain, creates sweat, and cleanses the mouth and tongue. That's the sour taste. That's what the sour taste does, right? Salty is fire and water. And you know what? I don't know why I don't have anything written for these. But salty, I'll have to look. See, that's not right. Pungent reduces meda dhatu, right, which is the fat dhatu, and excessive fluids from the body. So this is really great for kapha, right, to eat a lot of pungent foods to balance it. Depletes, if you consume too much, it does deplete the dhatus, causes constipation, and blocks the sweat glands. So again, we don't want to be consuming too much pungent foods. Too much of anything we don't want to consume. We want to have everything in moderation, and that's kind of like what that's the goal. Moderation and balance, okay? And, hold on, I know I have something here, okay, here we go. So I just wanted to share the potency, which is called the virya, or the action of the herb. It also relates to the actual taste, right? So sweet taste is cooling. It will naturally cool you down, okay? So if you're pitta, focus on sweet. Sour is heating. So you want to use sour to heat up the body. Again, you want to know what qualities are good for your body. Kapha and sour do not go hand in hand because it does aggravate it. And that's something that I know because I've studied, but it's not something that's kind of common knowledge. Salty is heating. Again, so sour and salty are really good for vata doshas. Pungent is heating, and that's really good for kapha. Astringent is cooling. Bitter is cooling. But again, we need astringent and bitter in our life to scrape the mucus from our body to remove it, okay? And you can do that with herbs. There's this, I like to use this herb called triphala. It's got the 3 fruits in it. And it's tridoshic, which means it's good for all doshas, no matter what your dosha type is. And it has all of the 6 tastes. So it is balancing all the way around. And that's kind of like how I go about balancing. Because I think it's easier to balance with food than any other way, because I'm a foodie. That's really why, because I love to eat. That's what it boils down to. But honestly, what I love about this is that you can customize your healing to however you want it to be, honestly. So the reason that we're doing this cleanse is because, number one, we want to be tuned in with nature, okay? And right now, when spring hits spring, actually, the equinox is on the 19th. And so as you know, in the wintertime, it snows and it gets cold. And so the snow freezes, right? It's frozen. Well, spring comes around and the sun comes out and warms up the entire world. And the snow starts to melt. The sun hits it, the warmth hits it, and it starts to melt. And the snow starts to melt, and it's being released, and it liquefies. And so, in following the laws of nature, we will allow the sun to warm us up so that we can liquefy the mucus that has hardened within our body during winter and release it during spring, so that we can be healthy and not catch any kind of colds or flus or coughs or dis-ease in the body. And of course, in Ayurveda, you cannot catch a dis-ease if your doshas are in the right location, if they are in the right site, if you are constantly clearing and moving and having that flow in your body. A virus cannot attach itself to a toxin-free host. If you do not have any ama or toxins in the body, there is no way that a virus or infection can attach to you, because your digestive fire would be so strong that it would kill the virus in the moment it got in there. Your digestive fire would be like, oh, this is not, you are not a friend, you are not invited to this party, you gotta go. And then all the good food that you were eating and the astringent and bitter would scrape everything and boom, out you go. And you would release it and let it go. And so that's why it's important. Number 2, kichari is used when we are either sick we are weak. When someone, it's also used for people like that are older, like convalescent style, and also for children that are younger, because it is very fortifying. It's easy on the digestive system. It's a complete meal, and it's warm and cooked, easy to digest. When you do this cleanse, it's a mono diet. That's what it's called, a mono diet. When you do this kichari cleanse, this mono diet, you are, number one, giving your digestive system the same food all the time. So your digestive system is like, oh, I know what this is, I know what this is, I know what this is. Because it knows what it is, it does not have to put so much effort into digesting it, because it knows, oh, this is a simple food, this is warm, this is cooked, this is almost liquidy, I know exactly what to do with this. Your digestive fire then can go into other areas of your body and process other stuff and not be focused on digesting food. I know that the recommendation for people is to eat like 3 meals a day, but honestly, I do not eat 3 meals a day. I eat 2 meals a day maybe. Yeah, I'll have like a lunch at 12, because there's a specific, we'll talk about that also, like the specific timing of everything, but there's a specific time that you're supposed to eat. You know, they say eat at noon because that is when the sun is at its highest, so you can use the sun's energy during pitta time, during the most fiery, the best digestive fire time to eat. And hey, Kim. And so that's kind of like what we want to do. And there's an entire process, like, there's a cycle to everything in Ayurveda. And so I sent out a dinacharya sheet, which is a list of self-care practices that is recommended by Ayurveda. Those are recommendations that you can put into practice to see which ones you like. Okay? I know, Kim, you had a question about oil pulling. Oil pulling is the act or process of taking either sesame oil or coconut oil and swishing it in your mouth for between 5 to 15 minutes. Even 20 minutes. Some people do 20 minutes. And you swish it and you move it all around and I usually do it in the shower because it's easy to just take a shower and multitask and do that at the same time. And so I'll be whatever. Then after those 15 to 20 minutes, you spit it out and then you brush your teeth. Okay? There's also something called tongue scraping. If you're a kapha, I highly recommend that you tongue scrape. I mean, highly recommend, because all of our mucus is up, like we hold all the mucus here. And so a lot of the coating on our tongue, like you get a white tongue, that's all toxins on the tongue. When you begin to scrape, then you'll see all of this stuff come off. And it's not pretty. It's really gross. But after you do it a while, you don't have that coating on your tongue. And it feels amazing. The food changes the way your food tastes even. I'm not lying. Like, I'm 100% serious. Like, I was like, wow. I can even taste my food differently now. And scraping the tongue, because all of your organs are tied to the tongue, right? Like, I know you've seen that Eastern medicine chart. You're actually creating like a movement. You're moving you're cleansing those organs as well when you scrape the tongue. So that's another practice that I like to do. There's also the neti pot, which you put water in one side and then it comes out the other, and then we do another one. It says we only have 25 seconds, 24 minutes remaining. So, I don't know. Should I go back on live after this? I'm not sure. I guess I will, because I want to close it out right. So I'm going to end this right now, but I'm going to hop right back on.